Yeah, man. Welcome once again. It's Alfred here. And getting straight to it, today I want to talk about why you should know your weaknesses, understand them, and work on them. Know your weaknesses, understand them, and work on them. So let's jump straight into this. Now, understanding your weaknesses, basically, is very crucial for a man in his journey, a man who is improving and developing himself to the best version of himself needs to understand himself. First and foremost, you need to know yourself. That a old age saying that know thyself will always stand true throughout time. For a man has to know himself, understand yourself, right? This will help you move forward, especially when you're in plateaus or you're in sticky situations or just you're not right. Things happen. Things do happen. Life happens. Obstacles. You have your adversaries. You have all sort of things that will try and stop you from doing things that you want to do that will help you move forward in life. Now, but how can you mitigate some of these things? There's a whole lot of things within life, but one way you can mitigate stalling, as in having the ability not to move forward in certain situations. Like I said, adversaries, opposition. How can you actually go against that or move forward despite of that? Now, one of them, or one thing you should at least put in your arsenal, right, is the knowledge of self. And that's one thing that I always promote, because knowing yourself and then understanding your weaknesses will help you a lot. Now, this is something that is a journey. When I say it's a journey, it means that it will take a long time to develop such a trait, because you're working. It's a skill in itself, and it's one of those things that you have to master. It's a mastery. Mastery does not come within 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Sometimes it's a lifelong endeavor. Now, understanding or knowing your weaknesses, start with knowing them, means that you have to accept that you have certain weaknesses. How will this help? Knowing your weaknesses and understanding them. This will help, right, by shutting down or shutting doors or portals that allow you not able to do the things or to be stopped on the things you are trying to do. Because once life throws things at you, probably certain people come to your life and they understand your weaknesses, and you've not worked on your weaknesses, they can take advantage of this. Sometimes, though I must say, it's subconscious. You are the one who allows this, right? So people subconsciously can pick up on this, and then what they'll do, or what might happen, is that they may use that as leverage against you, right? So by understanding or knowing your weaknesses, at least you have part of the solution, right? Then you understand them, and then you have to work on them. Now, working on them means that now what you're trying to do is you've understood that this is your weakness. You know and accept your weaknesses. You have to accept it, first of all. that's the major part. People do not want to accept that they're weak in certain areas. They're weak in certain things they have to do. Right? Once you're weak, you have to find solutions. And solutions, whether you like it or not, you have to work on them, and they are out there. The people who have understanding of what you need to understand, they've already gone through experience, or they know people who have gone through that sort of situation, or they themselves have gone through that situation. So it's up to you to either approach those people or seek them out so that they can help you to move to a better place, or to move from one place to another where you want to be. That's part of working on your weaknesses. Now, as a man, you cannot afford walking around with all these frustrations and anxieties and all sort of things that are negative. Those are weaknesses. This is why I say you have, as a man, to work on them. So you shut down the portals that actually allow unwanted situations to happen. Or when you work on these weaknesses, you also shut down the portals, meaning these are cracks and doors that you yourself have open wide for people who you do not want in your life, because they've seen the crack, they've seen subconsciously, they're able to see that, and then they use that against you, and then you start wondering, why is this happening, why is that happening? Because there's certain things that you've not worked on. Like I said, as we're young, we like to try different things. We do things with our peers, with our friends, with our whoever we do things with, right? Some of these things may come and haunt us. Some of these things are not good for us, but some things are good, right? However, let's take, for instance, drinking, right? You may start out just drinking with friends, going out on the weekend, but then you're opening up. When you're drinking alcohol, for example, right, it's just for fun. Maybe you started as teenagers, and in your 20s, you're doing it just to go to the clubs and all that fun stuff, right? Everyone does that, nothing wrong. But remember, you're also opening portals, right, or doors to things like addiction, alcohol addiction, right? To things like spending money on alcohol, right? To things like just things that that are usually associated with alcoholism, things that are negative. You're opening up that portal. Now, not to say that you drinking is bad, but you are opening that door to such things. Now, if you have no control over these things, or you are unable to at least shut that door when you need to, and you understand, okay, this is now taking over my livelihood more than the positive, then what will happen is that these things will now be much more of an addiction, and you will bring in even worse situations. We all go through this, right? It might not be alcohol, it might be just bad friends, bad company, right? As in friends that do not fit your the life you have to create. It could be things like porn. Porn is one of those things. Also, as men, majority of us have either watched porn or seen clips and shit like that, right? I don't think that many men, especially my age, have escaped that. Even if you have not endeavored into that, I'm sure you've come across such things. Now, porn is the same. It's addictive, and it also opens up certain portals. Now, like I said, just like if I refer to Matrix, right, movie, Neo had his own journey, right? Neo had his own mentors, right? Morpheus. So you also have your own journey. But taking reference, a bit of a reference there, there'll always be people like Cypher. Now, Cypher is the guy who betrayed Neo's company, right? When they were trying to rebel against whatever, the Matrix, right? He wanted to convince Neo to go back to the Matrix. Now, you can take it however, it does not mean that it's just bad situation or the Matrix that it is, but it's just in context to your life. Who are those people who want you to go back to your old life? All those are ciphers. If you can take that for as an example, then you still have mentors who are like Morpheus, who want you to be better. So if you take that, you can easily understand that your weaknesses can actually be, or what your weaknesses can be. Bad company, alcohol, porn, masturbation, all these negative things open portals to other situations you may not like. And if you take a look at this, that a lot of these things are actually instant gratification. Is that we're not trying to actually improve with time. We just want that excitement, or we just want pleasure at a moment's time. However, when we take the time to improve, work on our weaknesses, we then understand and we're able to better understand ourselves, but also understand where we stand with what we have. So we can now work on the weaknesses that we have. Now, as I said, a lot of the time, a lot of these weaknesses that we have is that we allow it, right? And most of them are just straight out bad for us. That's why it's best to cut them out. But the way you cut them out, every individual out there has a way of fighting these addictions or changing for the better. If you are addicted to alcohol, you have a way. You have to find ways to stop it. If you're addicted to porn, you have to find a way to stop it. If you're addicted to sex, if you're addicted to whatever it is, you have to find a way to control it. Either control it or just straight out. If it's something that you think that you just have to straight out live, you live it. But the whole purpose of working on your weaknesses is to understand your weaknesses and make them work for you. For example, I do drink occasionally. I want to put this out there. I do drink occasionally, and I only stop at drinking wine, right? But back then, right, I'm not really much of a drunkard or anything, but I would drink heavily. And that's because I would do it when I was with company. But I knew that this wasn't for me. But socially, it's good for me. Drink 1 glass, 2 glasses, that's it. And that's because I understand that if I take more than what I need, it doesn't do much for me, or it won't do any good. 1 glass of wine to 1.5 to 2 glasses a day for occasionally in a certain setting, that's cool for me. Otherwise, I'm not much of a drinker after that. Last time I drank was probably Christmas. This is January, right? And before that, probably Easter or something like that, right? If I go out on a dinner date or something like that, I drink wine. Cool, just 1 glass or something like that. But I know my limits, and I know that at the end of the day, this could be something of an addiction if I now do it on an occasional basis. And I do not really need to in the first place. It's not something that I have to. Even if I go there, I go to a certain place and it's full of wine, I may not drink that day. Depends, right? But that takes one, being able to control yourself, being able to know your weaknesses, and being able to work with it. Because I know socially, you can just do whatever, right? Just drink occasionally, socially, cool, right? So that way, you are also avoiding a lot of things. You avoid certain situations, unnecessary situations, right? So that takes time to develop and understand that, okay, I have such and such a weakness, or I'm prone to such and such a thing if I continue such and such a thing. Porn, sex. And I'm saying this because these are the things that usually catch us. They catch us, right? And trap us. Porn addiction, alcoholism, sex addiction, even food, right? Whatever it is, well, most of the time this is what gets us. Consumerism, right? It all comes with part of development. You're developing into your best version of yourself. Yeah, these things will come, no doubt, but you have to be able to handle them and understand and accept that a lot of these things are a weakness. Once you understand them, you'll know how to mitigate them, and that's the whole advice for today. Learn how to work with your weaknesses. Don't deny them and don't go against them, but work with them. And the main thing here is that once you work with them, right? In fact, these weaknesses that you are avoiding to work on and you're trying to shun could be a great strength for you. It can. But it all depends how you handle them mentally and physically, because a weakness can be turned into a strength. Like the one I gave here. For most people, when they drink, they become addicted and they do all sort of nonsense. But when I drink, I just loosen out and become even much more social. I'm usually just social with or without drinking, but I just loosen out and become like better, much more freer and just much more confident. Though I still have my confidence rather, even if I'm not drinking. But once you're with other people, maybe you're not used to, I'm much more confident myself, right? So I drink occasionally, so that's the strength in itself. So use these things, do not deny them. Don't deny that you have sex addiction, use it. But when I'm saying using it, I'm not saying go around and having all these unwanted or unplanned sex and all that. No. Know how you can mitigate that sexual energy, maybe, because if you're a sexual addict, it means you have a high sexual drive, which means you can use that sexual energy to do other things. So what you think could be a curse could actually be turned into a blessing, and that's the whole point. Use your weaknesses, but you have to first understand your weaknesses, right? Point them out and work on them, so that once you work on them, they'll be able to work for you, right? That's how it goes. Never run away from your weaknesses. Understand them, work on them, and let them work for you. It's been your boy Alfred, and I'm going to stop there. And I hope this message for today, I hope you understand it well, and it gets you well. Until next time, peace.